it's Darby from rejoiceandcreate.com, and I have this little treat holder for you today. And it's actually a K-cup holder. It'll hold one K-cup and one Ferrero Rocher on top of it. And I think they would look very sweet at a dinner table when you have one for the after-dinner coffee or tea with a little sweet. And this one was made with a cardstock base and pattern paper that was the same width of the cardstock. Now I made another one actually out of some designer series paper, and this is from Paper Studios paper, and it's stiff but not quite as stiff as the cardstock. So you see a little bit looser in it, but it still works really pretty, and then you don't have to take the extra step of putting the paper on it. And then I went ahead and made another one with a colorful cardstock and some really colorful paper as well. And they turned out really sturdy as well. So I think what I'm going to do for demonstrate this one is I'll use a cardstock base, and I think I won't go 2 inches wide, but I'll go a little bit more than 1 3/4 inches, because this one was 1 3/4 inches, and there's 1/8 of an inch on both sides, but I think I'll go 1 7/8 inches on the width of the one I'm trying today. But whatever look you like, go ahead and cut it that way. So what we'll need is a piece of cardstock or some pattern paper that is 2 inches by 12 inches. If you don't use a patterned cardstock or a pattern stiffer paper, thicker paper, then you'll need a piece of pattern paper that is 7 inches by 2 inches if you want to go the whole width, 1 3/4 inches if you like that size border, but for this one I'm doing 1 7/8 inches. So this piece is 7 inches by 1 7/8 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and use some white baker's twine for this one as well. Alright, let's get started. Alright, with the 12-inch side up, we're going to score at 1/2 of an inch, 2.5 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, 7.5 inches, and 11.5 inches. Alright, so go ahead and fold and burnish your score lines. And this is a great time just to make sure your sides all still line up, so you know that your score lines are perpendicular to your sides. Okay, so we know where the K-cup is going to go. Let me go ahead and fold that up and show you. So this first score line is going to meet with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th score line, the last one before the bigger gap. And that's going to be where the K-cup's going to sit. So we have to put a hole in that one. That's 1 3/4 inches. And what I did was I made myself a little template by punching it out, because we only have 1/8 of an inch on all sides, and I don't want to cut too far over one way or the other. Alright, so let's go ahead and put our template on, and I'll line my punch up, and we'll punch that out. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a strong adhesive right on that tab right next to the punch out. And we'll flip that over right on that score line that's past that circle. And then this last score line before the big gap, we're actually on this one, the second to last score line, we're going to fold that one over. So here's the last one before the gap, and we'll fold the next one over and just line that up. And what that does is it will line up a nice rectangle. Alright, so what we're going to do is put our K-cup in there, because some of them are a little poofier than others, so I have to get it down over there. And I took my Ferrero Rocher, and then I pulled this down over, and I kind of measured where this was, because the idea was that this score line should line up right to this score line where it's folded, and that makes a nice tight seal for the K-cup, or for the Ferrero Rocher, so it doesn't slide out so easily. And I'm pretty good on this one, but you can adjust it now if your Ferrero Rocher is a little shorter, or if you want to put something else in there. I don't know if the maybe the Raffaellos or something as well, but you might have to tuck it down a little bit more to make it tighter. But I'm good on my line, so I'm going to go ahead like this. And I'm going to leave my K-cup in here now, because you can get it in there afterward, but it is a little bit of a struggle and you risk tearing it. So it's easier to go ahead and put your K-cup in now. And if you're wondering, I put hot chocolate in here for a reason. because for this one I'm making a Christmas version of it. And if you're thinking, June, it's too early for Christmas, I must say that Christmas lives in my heart all year round, so I really enjoyed even thinking of things at this time of year. But you can make these for any occasion and decorate them accordingly. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and put my paper on, and I'm going to use some liquid glue because it'll give me a little bit of wiggle room as I pull it over. Oh, before I do that, actually, let me just give it a little bit of a curve. It's going to go over the top in a curve, and that makes it a little bit smoother. Alright, let's see if I can get some glue out of here. There we go. Alright, so go ahead and I'll line that one right up on the bottom in the center. And hold it right across. Oops, I forgot to cut this one. I said 7 inches, but I left it at 8 because it's an 8x8 pack. Not to worry, if you have to snug yours down a bit and that ends up being too long, all you have to do is cut it off. So let me just go ahead and trim that off. Okay. Alright, so I think that's so sweet already. Kind of reminds me of one of those old mailboxes. Alright, so we're going to put a handle on it now, and I'll take 1/8 of an inch punch. And right on the top arch, and this is why I don't do it ahead of time in the center, because if I had to snug this down a little bit, it might be off a little bit, but right on the top arch, probably about maybe 1/2 inch in from each side, I'll go ahead and punch a circle, punch a 1/8 inch circle. Alright. Alright, for my handle, I liked having a double piece of the twine. So what I did is I took, it was probably about 16 inches long, and I folded it over and tied a knot on the ends and cut that down. And then what I did was I took the folded side and I pushed it up through this hole and then down through this hole. As you can see, I have a lot extra. You may not need it as long. Alright, so make sure they're equal, pull them out to be equal, and probably about here I tied my knot as close as I could to the side of it. And that kind of gave me enough for a handle when I pull it up. So let me pull this out and tighten it up as much as I can. And I'll go ahead and cut that off. And then there's my handle. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is go ahead and glue. This was where my seam came down and I glued it. So on the front of it, I'm going to go ahead and tie another one. You could do a double. I enjoyed doing a double on the other one. I think I'll just do a single on this one. And you can tie a knot or a bow, whichever you like. Alright, so I have my bow. And I like long, have a little bit of a longer tails on these. You could do on this one, I actually shredded that and I think it looked really pretty. This time I'll just leave it as it is for the moment. And the reason I put hot chocolate in there was because I was making a Christmas cup, and I thought, how cute would it be if you had one of those little candy canes in a little cellophane wrapper to put in there. Now I don't have them. I actually did keep some of the bigger ones after Christmas last year for some projects, but for some reason just the little ones escaped me. So I went ahead and stamped out these 2 sweet little candy canes. And let's see, these are from the Candy Cane Lane collection by Catherine Pooler, and if you go to catherinepooler.com you can find all of her stamps there. And for sentiment, I'm going to stamp out one from Stitch with Cheer. Now I know this is a retired one, but I keep sentiments that are small that I can fit on tags, I love keeping. So I have a whole bunch of retired sets and older sets from different manufacturers that have little sentiments that I like to use on the tags. So this one's from May Your Season Be Cozy from Stitch with Cheer. I'm pulling out Always Artichoke because it matches my greens in the Tim Holtz paper. And I'll go ahead and stamp that. And I'll punch it out with 1 1/4 of an inch, a 1 1/4 inch punch. And I'm going to go ahead and sponge the edge a little bit with some Always Artichoke ink as well, just to make a little edge on it. The Tim Holtz paper looks distressed, and I kind of like that shabby look, the shabby chic or shabbiness look and distressed. So let's go ahead and continue on with it. All right, so if you have one of those little cellophane candy canes, I would just tuck that right in there, and that would be so totally adorable. But let me go ahead and use a glue dot to get this down there. And you use your fingers in there to pinch. And I use a glue dot for my sentiment as well. I'm going to go ahead and put that right, tuck that under there too, right there. All right, the last thing to add is my Ferrero Rocher. And what I did was I actually pulled out the knot, because the knots kind of help keep it centered in there. So I pulled out the knot and I tucked it in, and I pulled the handle back up. And it does a pretty good job. I mean, if you really whack it around, it will fall off. And if it's really loose, you can put a glue dot from the top of the Ferrero Rocher to the top of the little box. I wouldn't put the glue dot onto the top of the Keurig, because if it sticks to the Keurig and it goes in the Keurig dispenser, it can actually gum up the dispenser. So go ahead and just stick the top of the Ferrero to the top of your box with a glue dot if you need to. But if you snugged it down, I mean, it can move a little bit, but it's actually pretty good. And there we go. May your season be cozy. Yes, I'm thinking Christmas. But here are some other ones as well. I hope you enjoyed the project today. A K-cup holder with a treat. If you liked the video, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos as I post them. For more information, please go to rejoiceandcreate.com. And as always, until we meet again, I hope your days are blessed. Bye!